Coming into the South Carolina game, obviously they get back Kevin Harris, who is far and away their best player. But for South Carolina, they're just desperately trying to find an identity. They greased out a win against East Carolina on the hands of a few catastrophic turnovers on East Carolina's part, and the fact that East Carolina couldn't capitalize on South Carolina turnovers. They won with a last-second field goal, which, to me, if you're on the road against a Group of 5 team and you're counting on a last-second field goal, you're pretty far away from being being a big-time factor in the division. In the SEC East, much less the entire conference. So for that reason, I just don't think this South Carolina team is gelled yet. They play hard. They believe in Shane Beamer, but they just have no talent. Zeb Nolan, God love him, 5 touchdowns to 1 pick, 26 of 45 on the season, 335 yards. He's, again, the line is 31.5. It's probably one of the biggest SEC conference game lines that I've ever seen. But obviously the question is going to be, is JT healthy? Is he going to be out another week? We don't know. But I'd like to think that maybe he gives it a shot. I don't know. I mean, it just depends on kind of how the progression of practice is this week.
Oh, most definitely. I think if he's having any sort of discomfort or anything, I think you hold him. I think you hold him and get him ready for this gauntlet that we're about to hit. You got Arkansas coming to town. Who we got? We got Auburn coming up too. So I mean, you got all these games, coming up that I think that we're going to need him for. Not saying that our quarterbacks can't handle it, but I think you want your guy back, for those games right there. So. I think if he's hurt at all, I think you go with Bennett again and Beck and, kind of see if they can handle it going forward. I watched the South Carolina East Carolina game, and East Carolina's gotten better. They didn't quit. And like you said, they couldn't capitalize on turnovers. And I think South Carolina gave the ball up a little bit too much. I think they could have done some things a little bit better against East Carolina, but you know how the game goes as well as I do.
Yeah.
I don't look for any surprises in Sanford Stadium. I think we owe them one from 2 years ago, when they beat us at home. So, I think our guys are going to be excited. It's a night game at home. So our guys are going to be excited for this. It's first SEC game. And always remember, USC always plays hard against us. They won't play hard against anybody else, but against Georgia, they always will play hard.
Yeah, and that's one of those games where you never really know. The ball could bounce in a weird way, and all of a sudden, here we go. It's it's a dogfight, pun intended, that we didn't intend on having. So I think when you anytime you can get up early on a team like South Carolina, like last year, I think we handled that really well. Just getting in there, getting up early, and not letting him up off the mat, not letting Kevin Harris get rolling and get some momentum. I think it's got to be the same way defensively. Obviously, stop the run, guard the tight ends, make it a nightmare for them, and just kind of squeeze the pocket on Zeb Nolan, and I think he'll be just fine. I think obviously Jordan Davis does his thing, Adam Anderson does his thing. I mean, I think defense flies around. They're gonna put up the points. I think a 31.5 point spread is a bit much for a conference game. I don't know that I would touch this line. Obviously, we're going to pick it in a little bit, so I'm going to think about exactly where I want to go as far as picking against the spread. But I think that it's just one of those things that you just kind of have to see where it falls. Georgia's got Stetson Bennett probably starting. If I had to guess, I haven't heard anything about JT Daniels, and I'm not really surprised about that. Kirby's been pretty mum on that in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't heard anything either, and I might be surprised when I get there on Saturday as well. So I just know whoever goes out there is going to have the ball because, like I said, South Carolina's always going to play hard against Georgia. If they don't play hard against anybody else, it's going to be Georgia. No matter what, that game's always a toss-up. 31.5 is a lot of points. It's a lot. Can it be done? Of course it can.
Oh yeah,
but this is an SEC matchup, and the SEC, they're going to play hard against each other. No matter what, you're going to match up. So I would say this is a 20-point game if I had to say 21 maybe, 3-touchdown ball game. But 31, that's pushing it a little bit in my opinion. But hey, you never know.
Yeah, and I think when you look at this game, it's going to be the biggest thing is always finding out how your offensive line is going to shake out, especially when you have some question marks there with Jamari Sawyer. They're desperately wanting him to move inside. They just don't feel like Broderick Jones is ready. I think eventually your best five has got to be Broderick Jones at left tackle with Jamari Sawyer moving inside. I mean, at some point you got to rip the Band-Aid, and why not do it against South Carolina? I think it's one of those things where they're gonna work it in. They're gonna work it in. But I don't think Warren Erickson is your best option at guard.
No, I think you got to have somebody more athletic, especially now. Think about it. You're about to see some really good defensive linemen. You're not going to see the UAB. You're about to see more of the Clemson type defensive linemen coming up as we hit this gauntlet of teams in the SEC. So I think you got to find your matchups. You got to find the best arrangement of guys, and you got to do it right now.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just got to throw him out there. If he has a good week of practice and he's ready, throw him out there and see what he does. You can always make the switch later, after a series or two. But if he's the best guy, let the man play.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's get it, man. Let's go on it. And let's rock and roll. So, I think when you look at obviously the quarterback situation, that's going to be kind of interesting as we go. But one of the weapons, whoever's playing quarterback, whether it's Vandegrift, Carson Beck, or Mailman, or if JT's healthy, one of the weapons that I've been extremely surprised by is Brock Bowers. He was there was a stat that I saw. He was listed under the top 10 fastest guy with the ball in his hand. He was clocked at 21.9 miles per hour at his top speed.
Man, did you see that young man rumbling down that sideline when he caught that pass?
My God, he was moving.
That young fella was getting down the sideline, boy. And that's exciting. When you got a tight end that can run like that, now just think when we get Washington back, you got a guy that can post up and get jump balls. Now you got a guy that can outrun DBs and linebackers, So, I mean, you're dangerous at not receiver position, but at the tight end position.
Teams are going to have to play three corners on him. I don't know who you match up with Brock Bowers because, it's like, do you put a safety on him? No, because he's going to burn him. Do you put a linebacker on him? Absolutely not. I laughed in the Super Bowl when the Rams tried to put a linebacker on Rob Gronkowski, and what did Brady do? He just threw a touchdown up to Rob Gronkowski. Yeah. He just ran right by the guy, and Brady just lofted it up, and it was an easy pitch and catch. That's what it's going to be with Brock Bowers. So, I mean, you've got it the way the cornerback position is going is like you take some of these like faster safeties that have some size and move them inside. Like the star position is becoming like the premier recruiting position because you have to get it right.
Yes. Especially because we're going to the world of tight end. Everybody's using a tight end. Whether it's a receiver that's 6'5", 215 that can run, or it's a true tight end. You have to cover him.
Yeah. And, gone are your days of having a Reggie Kelly in there who's just in there to block. You're getting guys like Brock Bowers who can do both. Like you could throw him out there at X and he'd be just fine. He'd be able to do anything an X can do. Or you can put him on the end of the line of scrimmage and let him get after somebody blocking wise. And I think he's adequate enough in the run game. And that's why he's getting opportunities. It's not because he ran 21 miles an hour down the sideline. It's because he's physical. He gets in there and blocks, and he understands the game of football, and he understands what we're trying to do within the system. And he had over 100 yards receiving again. He had 3 catches for over 100 yards receiving. So, I just think that he continues to endear himself with his teammates and in this system. So, to me, that's a big time weapon. But what I'm excited about Israel is the possibility of maybe seeing Kyrus Jackson.
Yes, I saw that today. I'm excited about seeing him back. I hope he's healthy and he comes back. I mean, you just added another weapon. Now you got Bowers, you got Kyrus, you got Rosemy saying, now you got Burton back who looked really good on Saturday. So, I mean, you got a lot of guys that you're starting to get back. And Coach Monken's starting to open up the playbook a little bit more. So now Georgia's about to get really, really scary. And now we've shown that, guess what? We love JT. We want JT to play. But guess what? We got a guy that can deliver packages left and right, dropping dimes everywhere.
I like your pun there. Nice pun.